Hola, my wishes. Hey guys, welcome to a brand new video. Today, I'm joined by the lovely Hallea Jones, who plays Eden on one of my favorite Netflix series, Lock and Key. Hallea, welcome. Welcome. Oh my
Thank you
gosh.
so much for having me. I'm so excited to chat with you today.
Oh, but me too, honestly. So Lock and Key, I feel was like one of like an underrated Netflix show. Like I'd watched it like just one day. I had heard about it like last year when it first came out. And I'm like, oh, it seems like up my alley, like supernaturally, like adventure, magic. Like it's just, fell in love
Mm,
with like the first episode. I was like, this is my show. Like this is amazing. It's so underrated. More
it
people
is.
did Britney Spears. I saw a thing, right? I was like, girl, oh my god.
Uh, I don't
Like,
think any of us were okay. That like I literally posted on Instagram. I was like, is everyone doing okay? Because like I'm not. I'm like having a full mental breakdown right now because like Britney Spears has seen my face. And like it's crazy. Like it's just I was at dinner actually with the MUA, the makeup artist on the show. And so I wasn't looking at my phone and then like I opened my phone and like a bajillion messages being like Britney Spears. She commented, like she wrote in her caption about it, and I was like, so anyway, I've been listening to Britney Spears every single day for the last like 4 days.
honestly, I
I
feel
like,
that.
yeah, I had like a Britney moment the other day. I was like, my friends. It sounds so pretentious, but I'm like living my dream life right now. I was in my friend's convertible, and I like put on Britney Spears, and I was like driving through LA, and I was like, it's Britney, bitch. like
That's iconic,
like
literally.
yeah,
You know
I
what?
felt iconic. Yeah.
Appropriate response to if Britney found
Yeah.
out Britney watching your show. Like, she's seeing your face. That's literally, I would die. Like, I would pass away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
And I had like just moved into my new apartment downtown Toronto, and like just like so many crazy things have happened. And the show, as much as it's like underrated, I think what makes it underrated is that it's not like a social media show like Outer
mhm.
Banks, for example. Outer Banks is very like, there's so many fan cam accounts and like stuff like that. I mean, it's like hot people on treasure hunts
Yeah.
and like drugs and guns and stuff. That's not the show for us. Like the show for us is like more comic book people, or like my mom and her friends loved it. Like,
Yeah.
so it's such a different range of an audience. And I feel like the Outer Banks or like Stranger Things kind of thing. But yeah, I agree. I think it's like underrated, but it's been really received well. And like,
Mhm.
especially like people are soaking up Eden, which I'm so excited about. I'm like,
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
honored. I'm honored.
Like, okay, your performance, season two, like, really came full force with Demon Eden. I have to say, you were one of my favorite parts of the season, honestly.
Thank
You
you.
nailed every scene you were in. You can play the bad girl, like, queen.
Thank you
Like,
so much.
seriously.
It was honestly, and this sounds like super messed up kind of, because like I had the time of my life doing it. And I was just like, I guess because I've talked to a few people about like this concept that the villain is really, it's a part of, I think, the natural human experience that we aren't allowed to like indulge in,
Mm,
because by society standards, you're not supposed to like, I mean, not society standards, just moral standards. You're not supposed to like murder people and stuff.
yeah.
But other than that, like just being like this no filtered, unhinged, kind of chaotic person is not something that we're in society allowed to do. So when I go on set and I just like play this chaotic, like, especially I'm thinking right now of like the cup scene. I
Yeah,
won't
yeah, yeah.
spoil it for anyone who hasn't watched that yet, but get on it.
Yeah.
Like that was just, I've never like gone that full force in life ever. And it was so exhausting, but so much fun. And yeah, I love Eden. Like she was a joy to play, like to develop this character too. Like so much fun. So I'm really, really glad that people are liking it. That's really exciting.
Oh, 100%. I was just like, when Eden got possessed in at the end of the last season, spoiler alert.
Mhm.
But if you haven't seen season one yet, get on that, as you
Yeah.
said.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's too late, you know.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, and you knew there was a season two, so I'm like, okay, like now that she's possessed, like this has the potential to be like really, really interesting. And then literally the first episode, Crown of Shadows, like that's queen status, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Like,
It was so wild to like read the scripts and just, I mean, for season one, so this is like my first recurring role as an actor. Like I'm still new, I'm still working my way through it, but I got really, there's this weird thing where it's just like I believe that luck only comes to those who are prepared, but there are things that come into some people's lives easier than some others. Like I have incredible acting friends who just like haven't gotten the kind of thing that I got with Locke Key. It just happened to be in the works at the time where I was ready for it, and I just happened to understand that character. And so to come into having like this big thing early in my career, it was really exciting to like grow her throughout 2 seasons and to like finish the seasons too without spoiling anything. Like
yeah.
it's just like it blows my mind. And no one's gonna catch this, but I'm really on top of my costumes. And if anyone noticed that when the first scene in season 2, I'm wearing a purple sweater, which was a nod to my purple motor jacket at the end of season 1.
Oh, damn.
No one would catch that. But also the last outfit I wear, the yellow turtleneck, that was a nod to my season 1 Fear Monster Attack yellow sweater. And like how like I just like no one would catch that, but it was something that like I worked with Megan, the costume designer, on just being like, I feel like she would wear this, and I kind of like this for this, and this connects with this, and no one's gonna get it, but I like it, that kind of thing. So it's a fun little fact that I can share with you, and then it's kind of
That's
fun.
amazing. That just proves how much like I love in TV shows when I watch it. I love when like characters do like parallels like in different seasons or whatever, but like so like having like good Eden and then like Dean Eden but like the same outfits, like the same type of outfits, like the same colors, schemes, whatever. Like that's kudos to you and the costume designer, like for working all that out. Like that's amazing. Like I'm so proud. Like that's cool.
It was so fun. And like for me in my day-to-day life, fashion is such a big part of my life. And I was like, of course it's a part of Eden's life. Like, are you kidding me? Did you see her outfits this year? Like
yeah.
Girl really pulled it all out. But we also worked on having like the demon Eden versus the school Eden. So like the trying to convince people that she's normal, and then this badass, like usually more black colors. Like I don't think I ever wore black in season 1. Like it was all like more like colorful outfits.
Yeah.
And then in season 2, I really wanted to like lean into like telling a story through my costume, which like people, I guess, not everyone would tune into that. But like I said, it was more so for me. Like that was a really exciting thing to do. And to, we even did that with hair. Like over the season, we transitioned the hair into like a little bit more like edgy. The makeup was a little bit more edgy. Like, I love that. I'm so obsessed with my job. It's disgusting.
No, that's so good. You have to love what you do. If you don't love what you do, then what's the point? You have to love it.
Yeah. I'm gonna clean this camera. I feel like
no, it looks fine on my end. It looks. I do the same thing all the time. I'll do like a live stream and I'm like, I'll like show my laptop to people, but then like I read there's all these fingerprints on my computer. I'm like, this is so embarrassing. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, but it's like everyone's in the same boat. Like you can't, like, I don't know what kind of person would have a non-dirty like fingerprint screen. Literally. Like, when you first get an iPad or like a computer or something, or like any of the technology, and it's just pristine, it's like factory clean. You're like, don't want to touch it. Like, how do I keep this clean forever? It lasts 5 minutes.
Literally, this is cute. I'm just like, oh, hold on, there's a spot on it. Hold on, and then I'm like, okay, marked it all. It's fine. It is what it is.
It's like white sneakers. Like I'm walking around LA and I'm like, how does everyone keep their shoes so clean? Literally. I don't understand. How are they like? I'm like, I want to wear my Vans, but they have scuffs on them, and I feel like people don't do scuffs in Ellen. I'm like, I don't understand this.
Well, who
Anyway.
cares? Like, do your BB, like fuck stuff to people. Who cares, man? Like, just wear
Yeah,
them. It's fine.
whatever. Who cares? It's whatever. Yeah, whatever. If someone's judging me off of the scuffs of my shoe, do I really want to like care about their opinion because that's like
Exactly.
what they're gonna judge people off of? Anyway, sorry, I go on like a million tangents. I'm so ADHD, my brain's all over
No,
the place.
literally, that's what I love. Like, I'll write questions or whatever, but like, I always hope that like, you know, whoever I'm interviewing or whatever, like we go on the tangents because that's what one of my favorite things to do. But like,
Yeah,
you know,
it's so much more fun, and I feel like it opens up more of like a comfortable and authentic conversation. Like I love answering questions, like specific ones. It's always exciting. But then like to actually just chat, like, I'm such a chatty person. Like
yeah, no, you're like me. I'm just like, because everyone asks the same, like not the same questions, but like it's like, you know, whatever. But like it's just nice to have like a chat and just talk about the show or whatever, just like in general. Like
yeah.
it doesn't have to be
When
like
we did our press junket, we did 2 days straight of like over 40 different press worlds or whatever they're called, companies, you know, what are they called? I don't know.
yeah,
Those
yeah,
people,
yeah.
like, yeah, people to interview us. And it was like 5-minute sections and one after another. And I was with Griffin, and which was great because we just worked off of each other. But I wrote down like a whole list of like questions I thought I would be asked, like, what's my favorite key in Locke Key? Or like, if I could make a key, what kind of key would I make? You know, who is Eden season 2, like whatever. And I wrote down like all of these keywords and I put it behind my laptop. And it was actually like, it was great because so many times Griffin and I were getting stuck in like this thing where we were just saying like, oh, it was so much fun over and over again. And we were like, what else do we say other than the fact that it was just like the time of our lives? And I had this like, just all these words, just a vocabulary of things that I could like talk about because people would ask the same questions over and over again.
Yeah.
And it's like, but how do I say it differently so it's not the same answer every time?
Yeah,
So I have like
exactly.
5 different keys I would create, like all these different things. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, then what is your favorite key? What is your favorite key? Like, go ahead.
So practicality was, if I could have a key for everyday use, the anywhere key. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, literally.
Like anyone who says anything other than the anywhere key, they're wrong. Like, sorry, but just imagine being able to go anywhere in the world whenever you want. You don't have to pack a suitcase because you could just go home and get your clothes, or like go and steal it like Liza does in season 1 as Dodge. You know? But I'm fascinated by the head key. So I actually have a keyhole tattoo on the back of my neck.
Oh,
I don't know
wow.
if you'll be able to see it. It's kind of light. I want to get it dark. Can you see it?
Oh, yes. Oh my God. That looks cool.
It's very light. It's super light because I want to be able to cover it up for acting stuff. But I'm fascinated by the head key because I find it such an interesting concept of being able to step into your mind and explore your memories and, you know, having all of your feelings like joy and fear personified and being able to take things out and put things in. Because even though we don't have a key for that in our day-to-day life, I feel like our minds are such tangible objects that we can explore if we want to. And it's all up to us to consider our brains as something that if we want to put something into it, we have to consume it. It's not as easy as like throwing a book into your head.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that would have been great in school. But like, it's the exploration of the mind is like, I find it really like meta, like the concept of the head key really like, not the Facebook meta, but like
oh my God, I didn't play that Facebook. I can't. That's like,
I don't know how I feel about it. Like, don't we have like a Black Mirror episode of why this isn't a good idea?
I'm just like, Black Mirror is coming to life. Like, that's another one of my favorite shows. It's like, it's coming. Like, it's scary. I'm like, oh God, like that's gonna not be good in the future. I don't know. I'm stressed. It's like I'm on the fence.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. Like I'm for, but also, okay, you're a bit getting into ahead of yourself. Like, okay, like.
Well, to think that like 20 years ago, we didn't have these things. And to see how fast it's all developing, and like to think that we're living through things right now that we might pass off as like, oh, a thing that's happening that might completely change our whole society as a whole in the next 20 years. Like, and we don't even know that yet. It's crazy. Like, I could talk about that for too long, but I'm just like, it freaks me out.
The AI to AI, artificial intelligence. I'm just like, okay, that's like, I'm here for it, but also I'm just like, but like, I've seen a lot of like movies where like they always like goes wrong, and I'm like, okay, like everything's on technology. Everything's technology now. Like,
yeah. Well, yeah, we can't get away from it. And it's like, I called my bank the other day and they were like, your voice is a security measure or whatever. And I had a friend being like, what? They're using my voice? Like, that's not cool. I didn't give them permission to do that. And I'm like, well, whether you give them permission or not, they still can. Yeah. Like, they still have the technology to be able to read your voice and use it as a security measure. So like, whether you say you want to use it or not, like, it's there, you know? Exactly. And I feel like AI is it's everywhere, and it's in places that I don't even think we're like fully aware of yet, and it's being incorporated into so many different parts of our lives, in small ways. And I think we're going to see like this massive boom of things like shifting to make things easier, but also like with everything that makes life easier, there's always a cost, right? So it's going to be interesting to see what the cost of accessibility, or what's another word, like the easy nature of what AI can do to help us, but how it's going to potentially also could destroy us.
I'm ready for both. Like, I'll prepare myself for both. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, it's like a zombie apocalypse, or like the world's gonna like freeze or overheat, or dinosaurs. Apparently they're trying to make dinosaurs in a lab, and I'm like, I think we have like 3 or 4 movies of why that's a bad idea.
Yeah, literally.
You know?
Literally. It's like, people just they're just trying things. I'm like, you're gonna kill us. Like, it's fine. Like, whatever. Like, cool.
Yeah, great. Yeah. It's like we think we can maybe do something, and there are people who are doing incredible work to like, you know, help preserve the planet and stuff. And I will always be doing my part as an individual to help preserve the planet. But it's like, unfortunately, it's not 100% like, you know, me not using a straw is not going to stop the fact that like thousands of gallons of bad things are being put into our water system every day and stuff like that. So anyway, exactly. Back to your question list. I keep on like diverting into
I live for this. I literally live for this. Okay. So when you were talking about the head key and you have the keyhole tattoo, what do you reckon would be what would you envision your head to be like? Because like, I think that's so interesting to talk about.
I like that. I haven't been asked that question. Good job. Oh my God. Well, it's so nice to get like a new one.
Thing, I'm like, it's like, because I think what would be in my head, but like, what
would be in your head? Well, I think about this for a second. What will be in your head?
I mean, considering that my love for TV shows, I think maybe, I don't know, something like TVs, or like, I don't know, like is it, you know what? Maybe my brain would be like a Netflix like title, like the title page of Netflix, where you can like scroll through. I think that would be mine, because like I'm a TV buff. Like, I feel like it would just be like this room with like a Netflix thing, I guess, something like that.
Interesting. I don't know, because Eden had the department store, which was so cool.
Yeah. Did you like that for her?
Oh my God. When I read that, I was like, okay, so episode 5 in season 1 is like my big cafeteria scene. Episode 5 in season 2 is her head, like upgrade. Like promotion. Like, literally. I'm like, this is crazy. And plus Eden's mom comes around, like, who the actor Tanya is such a sweetie. She's but I'm just like, I love that. Just like, you should just kill him when I'm talking about Eden's father.
Just so chill. Like, you kill him, no worries. I just kill him.
You can just kill him. You can just kill him. But I've been modeling since I was 12. So it was November 27th of last year. of this past year of filming this like whole sequence of all like the modeling stuff in the background, which was just like this huge full moment. Like there was this moment when I was standing there and they were like, my hairstylist Mandy at the time, she was fixing my hair, and Sarah, my makeup artist, was doing my makeup, and then Jeanette was fixing my dress, and like these lights were going on behind me, and there's this whole crew, and I'm, you know, in Toronto on a studio lot, and I'm like, this is what my 12-year-old self would be screaming right now.
Yeah.
It was just mind-blowing. So that was like so much fun to film. And then I wasn't filming inside my head because I wasn't there. Technically, Eden's not in her own head. So I came in on my days off to watch it being filmed because I was like, this is so cool. This is like, the whole studio was incredible. Like just watching them put it together was just extravagant. Like the whole production was extravagant. But yeah, so back to your question. What would my head look like? I don't know. Like I keep on trying to like figure out what kind of, because Bodie's is like an amusement park, like an arcade game, which is really cool. Darby's or Nina's is an antique shop. Eden's is like a department store. Actually, Meredith, the showrunner, calls it a hellscape Sephora.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Before we started, yeah, when I got the script, I was like, what? This is so cool. She's like, yeah, it's basically like a hellscape Sephora. And I was like,
I love that. That's like my favorite thing. Like, I love that.
Yeah. So maybe not the hellscape part, but like a Sephora for me, or something to do with music. Like, I don't know how I would like make that into an actual physical space. I got to think about that question. That's not one of the questions that I like thought about for a long period of time because no one's asked me that question. So that's an awesome question. I'm going to think about that more.
I literally did not. I didn't even write it down. But when you mentioned you had the tattoo at the back of your neck, I'm like, actually, because I was going to ask you about Eden's head anyways, and I'm like, well, what about yours? I just think it's so interesting. Like, I love that whole concept of like the head key. That's why I love this show. This show is just, oh my god, it's so.
What was your favorite scene? I'm turning around the interview.
Oh, I love when they turn around the interview. That's like my favorite thing. I'm just like, oh, catch me off guard.
And you don't have to say it's a scene with me in it. I won't take it personally.
I think one of my favorites was actually, I think it was like the whole, I think it was the episode where they did the magical trap for Gabe and Eden. They tried to do the whole, so when you got trapped in the glass and they tried to, I mean, the little fight scene you and Amelia had, I mean, honest, oh my god, I was like, I didn't know I needed it until like I saw it. I was like, actually, they have had a bit of beef, like, why not? Like, let's go.
And I love Amelia. Like, she's the sweetest human. She deserves everything that's coming in her career. Like, she just had a movie come out called Coda, and she's working on another one now. She's just like a boss lady. But it was so funny because like we got on set and we were like, it's our big fight scene. And I was so, because like that outfit, that pink top outfit, that whole sequence, I was probably in that like for like 12 different days. Like there were so many different days of filming that whole sequence, right? Because it takes like, anytime you see a different room, it's like a different day that we filmed it. It's so crazy to think. But we were filming that fight thing and they were like, okay, this is the choreography for it, the stunt work and whatever. And we were like, that's it? Like she punches me in the face and then I punch her in the stomach and then I, do the thing with Scott. And we both looked at each other, we were like, kind of boring. So we went out into the hallway while they were like setting up for the whatever. And we like practiced, like we choreographed like this whole extra like part of it because we were like, we want to see women fighting, not over a man, but like because they're just badass bitches.
Exactly. That's my favorite.
Yeah. And so we were like, exhausting ourselves outside, which was perfect because like we needed to be sweaty anyway. And we choreographed this whole thing, and they did take like one or two things out because it needed to be like condensed.
Yeah.
But it was just so fun. I remember lying on the ground after one take. I was like just like starfished on the ground, just exhausted, like my whole body, plus like the screaming and like the just like the intensity of it was just so alive and adrenaline pumping that I was like lying there and I was like, I love myself so much. Like being on a film set, are you kidding me? I get to go to a film set and like fight.
Yeah.
And I get to like just be wild and crazy. It was definitely like one of my favorite sequences to film for sure. Doing it all in heels too.
Yeah, on literally. It obviously would have been like really hard to do, but like you did it. Like,
Yeah.
bro,
Yeah.
bro, right here.
It was so much fun, and like that sequence turned out well. The one thing that was really difficult about that whole like key house thing was the chain key.
Yeah.
Because obviously like we don't have like an actual chain that can shoot out. So we'd have to like shoot it, and then it would be like you'd hold out the chain and then they would like pause, and then they would change it out for another prop that they would like zip up that on like I guess Kinsey and Bodhi had it wrapped around them, and then they would like have the chain and you have to make sure it's taut and it's like all fine, and then we would continue rolling. And so that was very tedious of just like having to stop and start and stop and start. But that's what happens when you do CGI. It's like, it's so weird. It doesn't make sense while you're filming it. You're like, is this gonna look dumb? And then CGI happens and you're like,
sorry, what? Oh my God.
Whoa. That also, we had to do that also with the maze scene.
Oh yeah.
With Aaron, right? No spoilers.
Yeah.
But that was, oh my God, that was so cold. It was like January in Canada by like this lake, by like Lake Ontario, Lake Ontario. And it was freezing cold, and Eden does not wear like responsible weather clothes.
Of course not. She's a demon. She feel it, right?
Oh my God. No, of course not. Like the costumer came up to me. He was like, hey, so we're establishing this outfit now. You can like button up your jacket, and then we can put like heaters and pads and like warm up clothes and whatever. And I'm like, no. Eden would have her midriff showing, and she would be that girl. So that was like really cold, plus doing the chain stuff, and you're like, oh, it was, but I still had like a blast. It was like 11 days filming at night in the dead of winter, and it was still so much fun. I've never not felt my toes much.
What a trooper. Like you really get into your character. That's why I love it. Like you know your character so well, you know. So like Eden would do this, or like Eden would wear this, or like and it's you pulled it off. You're a trooper like queen. Like I told you, you're pro. Like you got this. Like
Thank you. It was honestly like the gift of a lifetime. Like it was such an incredible opportunity, especially as like a new actor trying to like figure out where I want to go and what I want to do and how I want to pursue my career. Because I'm in this spot right now where, you know, I'm just starting into bigger things and auditioning for bigger things and cool projects and stuff. And to think that I came into Locke and Key just being like the bitchy funny girl from school, you know, and then it's just like I got to play with so much that as a woman we don't see. Actually, Darby shared this with me. Darby Stanchfeld, we were having coffee once, and she was like, it's very rare to get a female character that's not just like the girlfriend or like the hot girl or whatever. And so to have like a character like Eden where she's so much more than one thing was the greatest gift ever, because I got to play and I learned so much about myself, even just like doing this, from, you know, when we were filming to in between takes and, you know, hanging out with the crew and just falling in love with being on a film set. Like that was, I was like, this is where I'm meant to be. Like I've never felt more at home than I do on this studio a lot right now. Like, and that's weird because you're like kind of technically surrounded by a lot of strangers, but it just felt like a community and like a family. And to be on a show that's so, it's been driven by passion for a decade now, trying to get it up and going and finally, you know, having it on Netflix and being filmed and stuff, because they've tried Fox and Hulu and all this stuff. So to be a part of something that's been a passion project for people for so long, I feel like really translated to everyone on the crew and the cast.
Yeah.
So that was just like a gift of a lifetime. So that's another tangent. I feel like I'm like all over the place.
Amazing. I love it. Don't be, can you just stop. Like you're doing, I love
Okay.
I love I literally I shouldn't do it, but like I usually just let whoever I'm interviewing just like talk and just like, you know, because that's, I feel like that's what people want to see. Like people, you know, it's just let them go.
Do you ever get people who don't? What do you do if they don't?
There's been like one or two where like one, it was like something, it depends. Like sometimes stuff, you know, the vibe is a bit off like straight away, but it was only like a 10-minute video I had to do, and I was like, okay, like it was like I was trying like my best. Like it was literally question answer because like the person wouldn't give me much. It was just kind of like, I mean, that could have been tight. 'Cause I think it was like a press junket thing. So I think that could have been a bit tired, you know. It's like fair enough. But like, it was very like, and then I kind of ran out of questions before time was up, and I was like, so I was like, oh, okay, like it was a very like, okay,
That's
like
awkward. That's super awkward. But I'm like I'm that kind of person who's always like trying to fill the space. I need to stop sometimes. Like sometimes like I'll just be like, okay, you don't have to say anything. Like just talking to people in general. But on interviews, I'm like, I know y'all like that kind of thing because it's more interesting. Like if I'm going to listen to an interview of someone talking about their job, I want to like know some cool things that I haven't like read elsewhere. So I'm kind of I try to take this as like an audience perspective of like, what would I want to know as like an audience like listening to about a show that I really enjoyed. So and it's another tangent.
No, 100%.
Okay, shoot another question, one that you prepared.
Oh, let me see. Look, I haven't even looked at my thing this whole time. I love that for me.
I love that.
See, some of the things that I wrote down, we've already like kind of spoken about. So, like that's why I'm just like, oh yeah, I'll go off. Like, love that for me. Oh, okay. Eden ate a man's face off in the first episode, which I was like, oh damn, we're really going there. Like, she's that bitch. Love that. Like,
he starts off holding back nothing.
Honestly.
Yeah.
I was like, so when you read that, what were your thoughts? What were you thinking? Like,
I mean, like every single episode, I was like, oh my God. So there are a few things about that which are just amazing. First of all, Brett, who played Carl, the guy I ate the face of, is a long-term friend of mine.
Yeah.
First of all, super funny. He texts me. He's like, oh my God, I got this audition for Locke Key for like Carl. And I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. And so I was like, I really, really hope you get it because like that would be awesome. And also we're in COVID and like, I don't want to be like kissing a stranger. Like that'd be kind of weird. And so the fact that he got it, I was so excited because he actually played like my boyfriend in a 48-hour film that I directed and made a few years ago. So it was really fun to like have this full circle moment of being like, bro, we're living our dreams right now. Like things are happening. So it was really excited to have him on set. And then with when we were filming that like popcorn like song, it was really interesting exploring right now. Can you hear the talking in the background?
No, not really.
No? Okay. So it was really interesting having this like experience of doing things I've never done before on camera, right? That was like my whole season 2 experience. But what was interesting was like learning how to trust my instincts in those moments. And as soon as I sat down on that floor with that popcorn, I just felt like it was like there was like child Eden.
Yeah.
Like there was no like, you want that? Like, look what I did. You know, it was more like, look what I did. Like I did the thing, you know, like I'm so excited. And I kind of felt like in that like part of the scene, it was really interesting to listen to like my intuition of being like, no, it's like she just did this thing. She's like a baby demon, a baby vampire. Like that's how I kind of felt it. Like she was just like, my God, like all the snacks of humans everywhere. Like I can, you know, and she doesn't technically eat his face. Like I don't think she ever like, she's not like a cannibal, but like she definitely just ripped him up and then like is eating the popcorn. And it was really exciting. Like it was so cool, and it felt so cool as an actor to explore this like childlike behavior of like, why am I feeling childlike behavior as a human in this scene? Like what is it? And I feel like it was just the loss of control that she was experiencing in that moment. And I've actually haven't talked to anyone or in an interview about this part, but I was just like, I'm probably going to talk about that in an interview, because it's like a kind of a cool thing to like be an actor exploring different scenes and then doing something like that where I cannot relate it to anything in my life. I've never killed a man.
Yeah,
like
literally.
So it was really fun to like just be like, what's that? Like that's just like one of my favorite scenes. So reading it, there were so many times filming season 2 where I was like, this is like a dream scene, you know, like when do you ever get to do this kind of thing? Like a lot of acting is, you know, line, conversation, whatever. But like doing crazy things that are just unhinged and stuff. Like so many times I would read the script and I see things in my head when I read things. Like I hear the music. I'm like, what's the lighting like? What's the shot? When do they cut to the other person? That kind of thing. So basically I'm going to get behind the camera at some point in my life. But reading these scenes, it just made me kind of go like, whoa, this is so much fun. How can I just do the opposite of what's expected while still doing what they want? And that was the fun thing with Eden, was just like bringing this unexpected twist to her that the writers weren't always thinking of at first, and then just playing with it. And they liked it. I mean, so I'm like,
that's good, as I should. As I should. Like, you nailed it. Like, it was just like, holy crap! You watching, just like, wow, like this girl. I was like, Eden was one of my favorite parts. I have to admit, like, she actually was like. It was just because like, my thing is like I always love badass women, like evil, well, not villains, but like I want to say complex with multiple layers. You know, that's what I want to be. So like
complex women.
Exactly. So it's like, it's always fun. And like when the actress or the actor, whoever like does like just exceeds all expectations, it's just like, yeah, you're gonna go
I'm
far.
so glad that it's being received well, because it's just like, it was my pride and joy for 8 months. And I mean, a little bit longer than 8 months, but like, it was just the kind of thing where I got to go in and do something that I just truly love. From the bottom of my heart. Like I just fell in love with acting more than ever. And it taught me things that you could never learn in the classroom. Like I do acting classes, I will for the rest of my career. But like the best acting class I've ever done is season 2, because it taught me to be confident in my impulses. And especially working with Griffin, someone who's been in the industry since he was a kid, like there were so many times where I was like, no, I need to trust myself on this, you know, like because he's so cool, calm and collected that I'm like freaking out. I'm like, I don't know if this line's like coming across well or whatever. He's like, just trust yourself. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, whatever that means, I'll try. But yeah, it was so much fun. Shoot another question.
Well, we're almost done anyways. Like I think we've gone away with it. Like, oh, like I'm having fun. Like you're having fun. I think. Like,
I just want to make sure that you get all the questions that you wanted to ask in the first place.
Bro, I have heaps of content now. Like, are you kidding? My last question, I guess, would be like, so the Locks really just disregarded Eden at the end and like, she's fine. They left her by herself with the echo key. They're like, she's fine. They didn't know that she had the echo key, obviously. And then she went and raised this new villain guy. I mean, obviously season 3 has already been shot, so no spoilers. But do you reckon Eden, she's been thrown in the well. He threw her in the well, this guy. Eden is now goodbye. But is she really gone? Because I feel like
we'll have to see.
Let's see. I know, and you would say that because I can't.
That's because here's the thing. If I say I worked or didn't work, it spoils either one.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And it's season 3 is a hoot. One of my friends is also on it. Ian Lake. He plays another one of the bad boys. And I'm really excited for everyone to see like this alternate perspective of the show, because it's just like they're so brilliant, like everyone in the writers' room, and they've really created this whole world that can go on forever and also just be like in this tight-knit package. And so we'll see where Eden plays. She does show face.
If she does or does not.
In ways. Yeah.
I like to think she is coming back. I would like to think. Because, like, how can we get rid of an icon? You know? I would hope. But that's all
I'm thinking they need to do a spin-off.
We'll see.
Imagine.
You know what? If there was a spin-off with Eden, just as, I mean, you know what? It could have been, because, you know, Eden... she's the demon, like just going off, doing whatever. Like, who knows? Like, she could really fuck shit up. Like,
well, one of the last lines from Tyler was Eden's probably like taken the anywhere key to Ibiza or whatever. And I'm like, I love that for her, because yes, she would. But no, dumb bitch. She goes to the well house. I just like when I read that, I was literally like, are you kidding me? Like, there were some moments where I was just like, dumb bitch, but I get it. You know, like, you got to make it interesting. But when I read that scene, because like finishing season 1 with like that big moment, and then finishing season 2 as well with that big moment, like biggest honor ever. But when I read it, I went through like 5 stages of grief. Like, I went through just like the denial and just like the anger. I'm like, no. And then there was also being like the whatever the other stages of grief are, but like just accepting it and just being like, you know what? She's a really good run in season 2, and she really goes for it. And funny quick story, that song, we did this big drone shot, which I watched it yesterday, and it wasn't in the final cut, but we did this big drone shot, and I had like a little portable speaker in my jacket. And so I was walking to Key House, and I had my Eden playlist playing in my pocket, and this song called Lion by Mira Mesa came on. And just as I got to the well house and put my hands on the door, the song ended. And it was like this like spiritual experience for a second, where literally in my head, it was like Eden saying it to myself, just like, don't do it. Like, it was so weird. It just came into my head, like this voice just like, Eden, don't do it. Which is like, it like gave me chills. It was very like weird. And it's like, it's the song that ends the season, because I wrote to Meredith and I was like, I just had a spiritual experience with this song. This song is perfect because the lyrics are bring the lion out, you know, call my name and bring the lion out. And she brings the lion for season 3 out. And it was a very interesting end. And it was actually like that moment we finished wrapping. Like, we just all knew that was like the last shot for that. And the costumer, Kelsey, who had become a close friend of mine, she came running up to me and she just gave me the biggest hug, because she knew how detrimental that move of Eden, you know, going into the well house is. And it was really emotional to film it. You know, it wasn't my last day on set, but it was still like a really emotional scene to film, because it was like, walking the plank kind of thing. So
Yeah, literally.
yeah, anyway,
That's crazy.
fun little story about the end of that.
Love that's see, everything happens for a reason. So I feel like that could have that's a sign, not sign, who knows?
Mhm.
Like I
Mhm. Well,
manifest
I'm
that to
glad that
happen.
that song got on the show because
Yeah.
I actually wrote to the guy who Mirames, I believe his name's it. Yeah, and I'm like, I just had like a spiritual experience with your song. I've submitted it. I really hope that you get it into the end of the season, and it did. So I think I'm gonna post my Eden playlist because it's a badass playlist.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. 100%. I think we all
Yeah,
need an Eden playlist, to be honest.
yeah. Oh yeah. Anytime you need to just feel like a badass, like
Literally,
I'll post it on
literally.
socials. I'll post it on my Instagram.
Yes, yes. Well,
Yeah.
Hallea, that was pretty much all I had, but like we went way over
It
time, but
was so
like
much
I'm
fun.
thank you for doing this with me. It was so much fun. I love to
Thank
know
you so
these
much for
stories.
chatting. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm always happy to share stories about it. Honestly, like I have so many, and I'm posting behind the scenes videos on Instagram because I like filmed the whole season behind the scenes. So I've only posted the first two episode behind the scenes video because I want to give people some time, but
Yeah.
I'm working on the other ones now,
Yeah,
and
I think
so
everyone's caught up. Everyone should be caught up now. If they haven't, shame on them. But it's just
yeah,
been a month.
yeah.
Like it's
If you get a spoiler, that's your fault.
yeah, literally. Just don't go
Yeah,
online if you haven't watched it. Okay.
yeah, whatever. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me. That was really fun chatting with you,
Of
and
course, thank
we'll do
you.
it
Yes,
again.
of course. On behalf to 100%. Hopefully, season three or any other future projects that you're in, I will be
Yes.
there. Fan for life. You got me now.
Yeah.
It's like it's it. So
Appreciate you a million. It was so nice chatting with you.
thank you.
Oh
Well,
God.
guys, that was my
Okay.
chat with Hallea. Thank you once again, and for going to Starbucks and like finding like a place. Like you did the most. Love it.
Yeah. Just in
Um,
like the bougiest place in LA right
as
now.
you
Just
as you
like
do,
in the corner. I'm
as you
like,
do.
whatever.
Love the corner.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'll let you go. Enjoy the rest of your day. And yeah, guys, that was my video. So enjoy, and I'll see you guys for the next one. Ciao for now, guys. Bye.